Homeless has, so here, as written by Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, let me just take it from the next line. Homeless shares very insightful inspiration and lessons of how young children in the world over can change their own destinies by focusing on education. That sounds interesting, but again, the reality is that, senior, the man no get food, though. The boy no get food. The mother would have to send him out, go do some, errands for some people, get 50 pesos, they come back. So doing that and going to school, the mother rightly will say, look, go do that rather, because when you come back from school, what do you eat?
You see, that is the reality that I am changing. But that is a narrative I'm changing by this book.
Wow.
Because what you described was exactly my situation.
Okay.
In fact, at Newtown, where we lived, I was more or less like a utility boy in the house. I was sent to do anything, just about anything.
Absolutely.
I am going to the market. In fact, there are times I've been there, cars have knocked me. Like, the stark reality. And I was selling everything. But I see the trick is that in the midst of all the things that were going on, I loved school. And what I want young people to know today is that the reasons for which I'm here today was not only because people loved me, but it's also because I gave myself to a cause. I identified something I should do, even in the middle of the difficulties. So everybody who knew me at Newtown, they used to call me a brewer. In fact, even when I was in University of Ghana, when I visit Newtown, there are people who say that, Odem Lache, a brewer. And I used to ask them that, so will I have to be selling a brew every day? You see, that was the stark reality. And we used to do morning and afternoon shifts.
Okay.
When we are in the morning shift,
that's for basic school.
Yes, basic school. As soon as we close, I am already in the market selling. In fact, I will sell in the afternoon. In the night, I will sell kerosene. And there's no part in Accra Newtown to Circle, Mamobi, all those corners is it 441 and Nima, every corner, because I used to sell all the way to Adabraka, and I'll come back in the night. When there's light out, we are very happy because that's why I sell more kerosene. So there were many things that we're doing, and in the midst of that, I'll come back and I still want to study. In fact, that is why it may be an ideal that may be a very high ideal for some.
Yes.
But my point is that if you can give yourself to it, your life can change, because I soon realized that it was only on the educational platform that both the poor and the rich have the same level.
That's true.
Because at the end of the day, when the marks come, it doesn't matter whether you are rich or poor. It is what you put in there that will show. Yeah. And I was winning some small awards in poetry recital in Ghana and all that. So it kind of encouraged me to be more in school. In fact, even though I was a neve, my Ghana teacher took particular interest in me. So I had more acceptance also in school. And let me quickly add this. Look, teachers have a very huge role
indeed
to play in keeping these children who are so stretched in school. In my case, I found my areas of interest. I like Ghana. So my Ghana teacher was teaching me Ghana poems, prose, and I was representing the school in competitions.
And that's where the interest builds up to want to come back to the school.
So you must do something. It's to give yourself to something. Those days, there was no way you would see me. Takwa jeke, okete kelebane. Kelen, dade kan dade no. Poko. La supu ko fane. Koyo.
I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds very
No, but like these are Ghana poems. Me bag bonus efo clean. Ni Jane egbi wese neke. Kwa boni gbomo eke koloi eyoyuru. Ni ameka yo mo se tesale. So these were things that were building interest. So art, excitement, build interest in these kids so they can be in school. Otherwise, there is no other way for a street child walking barefooted on the streets of Accra Newtown, selling kerosene, toffees, rising to become a lawyer, a member of parliament, speaking at UN and other international fora, It was only education that made a difference.
Wow. Anyways, so for me, we don't want to even spend that time talking about the systems that the ministry that is responsible for that, because again, it's a discussion for another day. We'll talk about that. Being the change is the next one, and the forward is also written by the Right Honourable Speaker, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin. Again, the Deputy High Commissioner, British High Commissioner, Accra, Keith McMahon. It was such a great pleasure meeting you last week. I was inspired by your story and spent last night talking to my kids about it. They were truly amazed how, despite all the obstacles you clearly faced during your childhood, you have done and continue to do so much. Being the change talks about what exactly? Again, is it from this or what you are doing now?
It's what I'm doing now. Translating experience into an opportunity for change and impact. So, it's not enough to say, oh, I was a street child. So what impact has that made in your life, and how is that translating into other people's life, and what kind of impact? So yes, adopted by the Village of Hope Orphanage. So what? So what are you doing with that story now? And so this is a story of impact and sharing ideals on becoming the very change you want to see in society, like Mahatma Gandhi once said. So in this book, it chronicles most of the activities. In fact, most of the things I even did in Medina, you see them in this book.
As an MP?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of articles I wrote last year on security. I remember that when there was an allegation of CJ, 5 million bribery allegation, everybody went to sleep. Everybody was quiet. I did an article on why the CJ must resign and gave international laws, and I've shared all those experiences, in the book. All those police attempts at arrest and all those things, you have all of them properly laid out in the book. As a new member of parliament, less than 2 years, we've done about, 9 private members' bill in parliament, including the bill that His Excellency the President has just supported, which is the death penalty. Two bills to abolish death penalty, which His Excellency the President last Friday.
Why would you want them abolishing death penalty? You kill someone, why won't you be killed?
Well, because, that's correct. Right? If you want to do tooth for tooth, eye for eye, then very soon no one will have an eye. That's how society is. And also because of some other inspirations we'll be sharing when we get to the law books, which is like guilty until proven innocent. There are many people who have been locked in prison. There's a case in Ohio recently who was alleged to have killed a wife, a man, and he was, 40 when he was put in prison. When he was 85, there was new evidence showing that he never did the killing.
Ooh.
So if he were killed, that would be the end.
The big question for me is, being a change in a society such as this, for us, ours is not even as bad. And let me take Africa. It's very difficult. Difficult, I say, because you are coming against the system. So the system which is not already working, but even works for just some selected few. Indeed, you are reading about the CJ, a space you work in, the space that brings food to your table. What would it take to be a change maker in this society where everything is skewed, is polarized, and it's a bit dangerous for some people?
Well, if you want to look at being the change, you can see it's like a charge.
Yeah.
Guys, let's move. You see, every generation creates its own leaders. Look, the generation of, like, the president will soon pass. There was a generation. Nkrumah was a generation. All the military interventions were generations. President Rawlings was a generation. President Mills was a generation. So every level is a generation. And every generation develop its leaders whose contributions must make significant impact in those generations. Now, a change maker must understand that you are coming against the status quo. That is what it means. So, for example, I've shared issues about the bills, for example, to abolish the General Legal Council, for example, and take the CJ and Superior Court judges from General Legal Council, so that it's a purely administrative thing. And so You are virtually coming directly. I remember when we did that, Honorable Dafame Kpoma, Venerable Senior, and the President of the Law Society of Ghana, when that started, people were, there were people, some members of General Council who were seen on TV say they will deal with us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that is how it is. You see, the Bible says the fear of man is a snare. Anytime you choose to fear human beings, you ensnare yourself. You put yourself in, it's another prison. It's another external restriction to what we can do as a people. But if you believe that regardless of what anybody else thinks, there is an impact that must be made, and that impact begins with me, then you show the way. I think that I do these reflections because I'm moving this generation towards some course.
Are we coming along?
Not many young people are coming along, but they will. You know, something happened when I was in law school. When, it started from Legon. I stood for SRC president in Legon.
Okay.
I lost.
Okay.
Then, when I got to law school, the faculty, I was their class captain for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I wanted to be the leader for the SRC, the law student SRC. I lost. Even though I led the class, it was just the same class that I led for 2 years.
And they didn't vote for you?
I lost. I said, no problem. Then we went to Makola. In Makola, I continued as a class captain. So for the 4 years, I was leading my class as a class captain. But in the final year in Makola, I stood again. And I lost again. So when I lost, then I had an inspiration and I wrote it down. I said, people will not always believe what you believe. But if you keep believing yourself and believing what you believe, someday they will believe what you believe. And I kept pushing. So I recall very well that when I came to politics of Medina, when I came and stood for primaries for the first time, I lost.
Yeah. We're shocked. No. Yeah, we're shocked. How many times did you go?
I went, for the primaries one I lost. Before the second primaries was the one I won before I came back.
We were all thinking that was the time, was he? What's his name?
Honorable Amadu Sorogo.
Sorogo was going to go off. And then when you lost, okay. What's happening?
So the point is that the external resistance will always be there.
Okay.
You may lose. You may lose multiple times. You will win some, you will lose some. But what you see, as a change maker, keep believing and keep pushing. I went and came back, and now I won. And now I'm in parliament. And now I'm pioneering bills. Now, as an opposition member of parliament, you have a bill that even the presidency can notice and collaborate to work on.
Right.
So you see, just keep believing and keep pushing. It doesn't matter what everybody believes. Trust me, most dreamers, vision carriers, oftentimes at the time that they are pushing people towards that vision, do not have consensus around them as to what those visions are. But if you keep pushing them, keep leading, someday they will see why we must be here.